Now our CBS News political contributors, Robby, Mook, and Terry Sullivan. Robby, of course, was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager in her 2016 presidential run. Terry was Marco Rubio's campaign manager in his presidential bid 4 years ago. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
A little over a week ago, Joe Biden's campaign was on life support. He was broke. How do you account for this resurrection, Robby?
Well, I would actually argue this wasn't a resurrection. This was just the first time that we had a broad swath of the electorate participating in the primary. You know, Iowa and Nevada were small caucuses. New Hampshire is demographically very unique. South Carolina is actually unique in some ways. It's 2/3 African American. This was the first time we had the entire electorate engaged. And honestly, if you'd talked to me a few months ago, Biden did as we might have expected him to do. I think just because he lost those early contests, people started to get nervous. I do, however, think that those endorsements from Klobuchar and Buttigieg really did provide him a critical push, because all Democrats care about, or what most Democrats care about, is defeating Trump. And they were looking for signals about who's the winner, who can get this done. And there were a lot of those signals coming after South Carolina.
Terry, people seem to have mixed reviews about whether endorsements make a difference in the past, but they certainly mattered here. Congressman Clyburn and the black vote, and as Robby just said, the key endorsements from his former rivals. With that in mind, does Bernie Sanders need to get a key endorsement? What does he need to do? Because I would think the Sanders base is also very energized today.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, endorsements do matter, but they're more of a signal of what is happening on the ground than it is what they're actually pretending to show going forward. You know, at this point in time, you've got a tied race for delegates, functionally speaking, and I can't imagine that if I would have told you that a year ago that Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders were tied after Super Tuesday, that there's any Democrat in the country that would have been excited about that prospect. So, you know, it's all in perspective at this point.
Robby, you've seen a version of this race before back in 2016. You've got Joe Biden on the one hand, who is definitely a Democrat, longtime Democrat, classic establishment figure. And then you've got Bernie Sanders, who Biden says isn't even really a Democrat at all. How does this shake out, and what does it say about the divide in the party?
Yeah, well, two things. First of all, I think it's really important that these candidates not impugn each other's character. We cannot send a nominee into this fight with Donald Trump, who's had years to prepare, weakened, particularly on their character. And so, we got to really hold the candidates to that. But look, the other thing I would say is, Hillary came out of Super Tuesday with a lead, somewhere around 100 delegates. We thought that Sanders was going to come out of this with a lead, and then Biden was going to be able to make that up in these following contests. We're actually in the opposite. Well, we don't really know because we're waiting on California. Right now, Biden has a lead of 80-something delegates. But let's say this is even a tie. I would argue these next states, the 10th and then definitely the 17th, are looking pretty good for Biden. I'd feel good about him in Michigan. I think he's going to do incredibly well in Mississippi. In Missouri and Washington, Washington's now a primary. It used to be a caucus. So it's hard to see if this is a tie, which it's not right now, but if it becomes one, how Bernie garners enough delegates.
Terry, if you're Mike Bloomberg and you spent $500 million and you got maybe a couple of dozen delegates, what do you do today?
Yeah, you go to one of your, dozen homes on some tropical island. You go to Bermuda. Like, this is over for him. It was over a while ago, but now everybody knows it's over.
He said he was going to stay in it. We shall see. And Elizabeth Warren, quickly, what do you think happens to her now?
I've been in the tough spot of managing a campaign for a candidate who loses their home state. It's tough to see a path forward for her, but she served her purpose for the establishment of the Democrat Party by kneecapping Bernie Sanders last night and robbing some key states from Bernie and giving them to Joe Biden, like her home state. So she served her purpose for Joe Biden. So now I think it's just, the exit for her.
All right, Robby, Mook, and Terry Sullivan, always good to see you guys. We'll see you next time.
Good seeing you.
Thanks.
Thanks.